Hi, I'm back, and I'm here to show you how to use essential oils in another way through your cooking. So, the recipe we're going to make is called garlic and herb canapes. And the ingredients are you need a loaf of French bread. And actually, this is my homemade recipe, so it's a little darker than normal French bread. But so, a loaf of French bread, 4 tablespoons butter, a teaspoon of garlic, and I use fresh garlic. And I actually use 2 cloves, but 1 or 2 cloves, whatever you think will make 1 teaspoon. 1 drop of oregano, 1 drop of basil, and 1 drop of thyme. So let's get started. There are some safety tips, not safety tips, but words of caution, I guess. Essential oils are really, really strong. So you never want to just drip them directly on food. So it's always good to put them in an oil first. So even though we're adding it to butter or melted butter, I'm still going to put a little bit of olive oil in my tablespoon, and then I'm going to add my essential oils to this, and then I will add it to the butter. And that way you can add a little bit and see if that's good for you or not. Because sometimes when you tip your bottles, you intend on just 1 drop coming out, and like 2 drops will slip out. And when you're making a roller bottle like this, that's one thing. If an extra drop comes out, it's no big deal. But if you add an extra drop to your food recipe, that could take your recipe from great to inedible. So you really, less is better. Starting out less is a good way to start. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of oregano, kind of a slow dripper, which is good. 1 teaspoon or 1 drop of thyme. These are drops, and 1 drop of basil. And we're going to add that to the recipe, to the butter. I'm going to add the garlic. It's pre-pressed through a garlic press. Stir that up. So I'm going to take that and brush it on the bread. Being very generous. And then you just put a couple of slices of tomato on that. You could top it with some Parmesan cheese, shredded Parmesan cheese. I don't actually have any, so I'm just going to put some chives, some chopped chives on for like a garnish. I like my food to look really pretty. And there you go. Garlic and herb canapes. You could actually put these under a broiler for a few minutes. I think that would be really tasty. So yeah, give these a try. One thing you do want to remember is with your oil bottles, you don't want to let them set out too long without the caps because essential oils do evaporate. So you want to make sure that you tightly put them back on after you're done, and don't let them just set around without their lids on for very long. That's a good tip anytime. Another tip that can help you with the strength of your recipe is you can use a toothpick. So you can actually, here I go, I'm going to open this up again. You can actually just dip the toothpick down into the hole or even tip the bottle just a little bit, just to get a little bit on the toothpick, and then just stir that into your recipe. Because sometimes even 1 drop is too much. So that's another good tip, is to have a toothpick handy, a wooden toothpick, to help you mix it in. So yeah, I think that pretty much takes care of it. I was going to mention some other essential oils that are really good to cook with are marjoram and rosemary. Lemongrass is good. The citrus oils are fabulous in some of your desserts, or peppermint is good with chocolate, of course. So those are some other ones you might want to try. Another way that you can like season meat, you can actually use the same recipe and maybe use olive oil or avocado oil and like do a meat rub with this exact same recipe. Or another thing that you can do is just take salt and like take 2 tablespoons of salt and you can add essential oils to that, of course, very sparingly, and use that as a meat rub or drizzle it on your fresh tomatoes from the garden. So these are just some great tips for you to experiment with your essential oils with your cooking. So be sure to give some of these things a try and just make sure that you practice the safety tips and go with a little bit less at first. You can always add more. So have fun experimenting with cooking with essential oils.